Hi, welcome to another Knitting Expat tutorial. My name is Mina, I am the host of the Knitting Expat podcast, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do a German short row heel in the manner that I do it. And so you can see here, this is what the heel will look like when it's finished. This is on a tweed sock and this is on a variegated. You see it's a nice clean looking heel. It's got quite a decorative look to it on the edge. Neither of these socks have been blocked yet, so apologies for the slightly crimpled look. And these are both actually two of my sock design, as is this third one, which is the one I'm going to be using to show you my my version of the German short row heel. So I'm going to get myself set up to show you how to do the German short row heel. I'm going to assume that you know how to do German short rows. I will briefly run you through the mechanics of German short rows at the beginning when I start the heel, but otherwise I will leave a link in the description box below where you can find a more detailed tutorial on how to do the German short row heel. Okay, so what I did first was to knit across the front of the sock with the pattern side, and I popped in a stitch marker on the last row of the leg of the heel, of the sock, sorry. So this row we've just knit now will be counted as the first row towards the foot of the sock. So you can see that there. So now we're on the back of the sock, ready to start the heel. And like I've said before, I always knit my socks 2 at a time. I have a 2 at a time, how to knit socks 2 at a time video, which I will also link below. And when I come to the heel, I just knit one heel back and forth, and then move on and knit the second heel back and forth, and then join back in the round. So I'm just going to show you one heel and then how I get started on the second heel, but the second heel is basically the same as the first. So this is a 64 stitch sock. The instructions I provide in all of my sock patterns are for 56, 64 and 72 stitch socks. So the heel instructions are written out in detail, line by line, for each sock size. So the first row you just knit all the way across. Then you turn the work. I try not to get too worried about yarns getting tangled at this point because it all works itself out at the end. And then to do the German short row heel on this side, you want to do a German short row in general, you always want the yarn to be in front before you do the actual German short row double stitch, which is what it's referred to in the pattern. So with yarn in front, which you're on a purl row, so that's not a problem, you slip the first stitch and then you pull the yarn over the needle and back round to the front, ready to purl, and that creates this double stitch, and that's what the German short row double stitch looks like on this side. So then the second row you just you purl all the way back across, so you purl all the way to the end of the row, turn the work, and at this point you're ready to knit. So your yarn's in the back, bring your yarn to the front, slip the stitch, and then you, sorry, let me just grab the yarn there, slip the stitch and then you pull the yarn towards the back of the needle, ready to knit, and that here creates another double stitch. I'll show you here. And it looks a little bit different on this side than it does on the other side, but it does the same thing, creates a double stitch, and then you knit back across and you knit up to the double stitch. Okay, so that's just the double stitch left. Then you turn the work, slip the needle, slip the stitch, yarn in front, pull over, create that double stitch, back round to the front, ready to purl. You purl back across to the previous double stitch. Okay, then we turn, yarn to the front, slip the stitch, pull the yarn to the back of the needle, creating another double stitch, and then you knit across. And you just keep doing this, knitting up to the double stitch, turn the work, create a double stitch. So like I was saying, you knit across to the double stitch, turn the work, you do the double stitch on the last stitch you've knit, like here. Slip, yarn in front, pull to the back, wrap around the needle, bring back to the front to purl across. Then you purl across to the other side, up to the last double stitch. Okay, then you turn the work, bring the yarn to the front, slip, pull the yarn over and to the back, ready to knit again, and you just repeat this. You knit up to the double stitch, you turn the work, you do a double stitch in the last stitch that you've knit, so it's yarn in front, slip one, pull the yarn over the needle, back round to the front to purl after a knit row. Like this. So yarn in front, slip one, try not to split the stitch, pull yarn over the needle, back round to the front, and purl back across. And then you purl up to the double stitch at the other end. And you turn the work, do a double stitch, get ready to knit back across the other side. So double stitch on the other side, you bring the yarn to the front, you slip the last stitch you knit or purled, and pull the yarn over the needle towards the back, ready to knit. Just like this. So you're ready to do a double stitch, turn, yarn in front, slip, pull over to the back, and now you're ready to knit again. So I think I'm going to just record a couple more rows for you so you can see. I always hold the other needle, the needle with the fewer stitches on it, with my thumb and forefinger on my left hand when I'm turning the work. That way the needle doesn't accidentally slide out of the work. Yarn in front, slip, pull over needle, and you knit. So then you carry on just like this until you reach a row where you do a double stitch, purl 11, and then turn, and then that's where things start to change. So I will go ahead and knit up to that point, and I will come back and join you when we get there. Okay? Okay, so we are now in the row where we need to do a double stitch, purl 11. So double stitch, slip with yarn in front, pull round to the back round to the front, purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, and then turn. Now we're ready to start working the other half of the heel. So start with a yarn in front, slip, pull over, double stitch, and then you knit 12. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these first 10 stitches form the center of the heel at the back. So it forms these center stitches. And then the other 2 stitches are double stitches that we are going to complete. So to do that, you just knit the double stitch as if it's one stitch. So you got 11 and 12, just like that. And then you turn the work, and then you put a double stitch in the last stitch that you just knit. So yarn in front, slip, pull, back round to the front, and it looks a little bit crazy and lumpy, but that is fine because you're just doing a double stitch in a stitch that was a double stitch a moment ago. And then you purl back 13, so this time you're adding 1 stitch each time you knit or purl a row from the row before. One and 2 double stitches. So each time when you're working the second half of the heel, you're working 2 double stitches at the end of each row, as in you're knitting them together. And then on the other side, you yarn in front, slip, double stitch, and then you knit back. So this time we're going to be doing knit 14 stitches, and the last 2 will be double stitches. Turn the work, yarn in front, make sure I'm not splitting any stitches there, slip, pull round, back round to front, purl across. Like I said, the number of stitches you purl or knit between each row is very clearly written out in the pattern. The pattern for the heel is written out line by line, every step, what you need to do for your size. And once you actually get into the rhythm of knitting this heel, you can see here we're starting to get that heel shape coming through. Once you get into the rhythm of knitting this heel, you'll find it's actually really rather quick, and it's easy to memorize. Once you get used to it, you don't need any stitch markers to knit it. Yeah, and it knits up very quickly. And it fits just as well as the fish slip kiss heel or other short row heels that you prefer or that you use. And of course, for any of my patterns, you don't have to use the German short row heel. You can use whatever heel you like. This is just my preferred alternative to the fish slip kiss heel over the standard heel flap and gusset, which standard short row heel, which isn't necessarily my favourite. And I don't mind a heel flap and gusset. I have knit them before, but I find for 2 at a time sock knitting, a heel flap and gusset can be quite fiddly. It can be quite tedious with all the extra stitches, but it's by no means impossible. Just not my preferred method. So yeah, you keep going like that until you have 2 double stitches left on each side. I'm just going to speed through this next bit. I'll probably speed up the video, but I will show you what to do. Okay, so when you get to the point that you've purled up to one stitch before the last stitch on your needle, and you're going to turn the work. So you've got one double stitch left on the right hand needle, you turn the work and you create a double stitch in the last stitch you just purled. Get my needle in there, pull up and over, so you see we've got two double stitches left on this end, and then you've got two on this side. And so then this is the bit where you do the finishing bit for the finishing part for the heel. You see you've got the majority of your heel here now. And again, the pattern tells you exactly what to do at this point, and just wanted to show you how this is a bit different. So you do the double stitch, and then you knit all the way to the end of the row, knitting the last two double stitches as regular stitches, as we've done all the way across here. Stitch there. It's a slightly odd knitting angle for me, holding the yarn and needles and everything a little bit further away from myself than I normally would, so making a few more mistakes than usual. Okay, so knit, and we're done on this side. So you turn the work, and this time you're not doing a double stitch, you're just slipping that first stitch purlwise. So you just slip and purl across. And try and keep tension on that first stitch. My tension on my purl rows are generally a little bit looser, so I always tug that first stitch a little bit. Okay, and you purl these last two double stitches. Turn the work. Slip the first stitch purlwise, yarn in back, and then you just knit across. Knit across the heel to the end. And there you go. There you have it. You have your German short row heel. See how that looks there? And then all you do now is you drop that yarn, pick up the yarn for the other heel, and you start knitting the second heel. And I've just got my yarn a little bit tangled up here, so I'll just sort that out. Yeah, so that's that first heel done, and if you're knitting your socks one at a time, you join back in the round here, and what you can do is you can pick up a stitch to close any gaps. I do have a separate tutorial video on my YouTube channel for a little trick that someone showed me, a friend showed me, on how to close the hole in the sides, and that trick also works for heel flap and gusset as well as short row heels. So and I'll have that linked below in the description box for you as well. Otherwise you can just use any other method you prefer to close the gap. There we go. So, and also, so I'm going to knit across the second heel, but I'm also going to talk you through how, if you were going to do a contrast heel, how you would do it. So at this point, when you're going to start the heel, you would just drop the main colour yarn, no need to cut it, and you would attach the new contrast colour yarn to the sock, and you would start knitting the heel in the contrast colour. And then when you come to knit that last row where you slip one and knit all the way to the end to then join back into the round, at that point you cut the contrast colour yarn, and you would pick up the main colour yarn again from this side, do the slip one, knit across, and join back into the round. That way you never have to cut the main colour yarn, and you start and stop the contrast colour yarn on the same side. So that reduces the number of ends you have to weave in, but then also if you do a contrast heel, you can use those ends to close any holes in the sides if you get them. So you can see here, knitting the second heel after the first heel is not any different. You just start, the other sock just hangs there, it hangs out and waits for you to be finished. You just turn. Like I said, I don't worry too much about these being tangled at this point. yarn in front, slip one, double stitch, and you just keep going as usual, as you did before. So that's pretty much the gist of how to knit a German short row heel. Like I said, the instructions are fully set out in the pattern. And yeah, I hope you will find this useful. If you have any questions, please let me know. My contact details are at the bottom of all of my patterns, and you can contact me on Ravelry. I am Mina86 on Ravelry, and my email is knittingexpat@gmail.com. So if you have any issues or have any questions, please let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Alright, so thank you very much for joining me, and yeah, I hope you will have success in knitting a German short row heel if it's your first time. Alright, thank you for joining me for another Knitting Expat tutorial, and I hope to see you again soon.